So the Pittsburgh Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year deal. Hallelujah. Oh my God. Super excited. 7-10, 10-7, somewhere in between there. Likely a pick around 20th. Not really relevant enough to get a quarterback. And we're just going to continue to push it forward. You know, when I was in college, and we would go day drinking, or we would go drinking at a football game or something, that next morning, when you wanted to push your hangover forward, you would just drink some more alcohol, a little hair of the dog. That's what the Steelers seem to be doing. But in terms of football land and how to run a football business, I don't think that this is good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ultimately, what would have been best is to just have a down season, see what you have in guys like Drew Aller, or however his name is spelled. See, he's so not relevant as a Penn State quarterback that I don't even know his name properly. Maybe we see who we have in Will Howard. But like I've said before, Will Howard's been evaluated by 32 teams. Now, I know we might say, well, look at Tom Brady. He was a 6th-round pick, and, you know, he ended up winning 7 Super Bowls. I mean, that's an anomaly. That's a statistical outlier. That doesn't happen. Will Howard was a late-round pick because he has late-round talent. Will Howard wasn't a starter or considered to be the starter because he simply just isn't good enough. Could there be a possible universe or future in which Will Howard is a successful quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Certainly. You know, there's other folks that were not even drafted that could be the future quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But what we're doing here with a 44-year-old Aaron Rodgers is essentially doing exactly what Art Rooney, the third or senior or whatever his name is. You can't get all the Art and Dan Rooneys and the, you know, suffixes and prefixes correct all the time. But he told us very specifically that you try to win every year. Sometimes you have the dog, sometimes you don't. If you guys remember from that last press conference, he was very clear about that. We are going to try to win every year. This team is not interested in a reset. This team isn't interested in having a down season. And he seems to be pretty happy because he keeps getting paid every year. Doesn't matter that the Steelers aren't competitive. And with this move in going to Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers are all but assuredly going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack next year and not be able to get what looks to be a rich crop of quarterbacks at their disposal to pick from in the draft next year. The Steelers are probably going to land somewhere between 7-10 and probably 10-7. You know, maybe 11-6 if they have some crazy tailwind. But that is, you know, again, going to be the best case scenario. I think more likely than not, the Steelers are going to go 8-9 or 9-8. And we're not going to get our quarterback of the future. And we're going to continue this cycle. If you guys remember, which a lot of you don't, you may have been too young or you may not have been Steelers fans. The reason that the Steelers got Ben Roethlisberger is because they had a down year. One that we didn't see coming in 2003. 2003. I think it was the year before in 2002 where the Steelers made that deep playoff run or some sort of playoff run. I think we lost to the Titans. It was a field goal type of a loss. And, you know, we were all thinking with Tommy Maddox that next season the Steelers were going to be good and competitive, and they weren't. We had a bad year. And I can even remember it distinctly towards the end of the season when it was really one of the few times I ever remember the Steelers being completely out of playoff contention. winning a home game towards the end of the season, and one of the announcers saying, you don't come into Pittsburgh regardless of their record. The Steelers had to go through that. They had tremendous talent that they had drafted through the late 90s in Hines Ward, Alan Faneca, Joey Porter. We brought in role players later on in the aughts like Ryan Clark, James Harrison. Then finally, in 2004, the Pittsburgh Steelers get their guy. They get a quarterback in the top 10. Lucky enough for us, he was probably of the three the best. You could argue that maybe Phillip Rivers was a better quarterback, just not on as good of a team. But regardless, they had that down year. The Pittsburgh Steelers refused to do that. This is not good news with Aaron Rodgers. And for those of you who may be wearing your beer goggles, your optimistic goggles for this season, I'm going to hate to pour cold water on your fire here, but let's be realistic about a few things. Number one, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a better quarterback than he was last year. You don't get older and get better. Guys, I'm telling you, is somebody inching towards 40, your body continues to fall apart. It's what happens. You see it happen in sports all of the time. There are some outliers in hockey, with Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe. I think, obviously Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers last year was mediocre at best. He had a high touchdown percentage, but he threw short passes. He didn't have high yards per attempt. He didn't make his completion percentage, I don't think, was spectacular. He was around middle of the pack, a little bit better some categories, a little bit worse in others. He's going to be a worse quarterback this year. We don't have Mike Tomlin. And for those of you that hate Mike Tomlin, I get it. I'm not here to defend Mike Tomlin, but he did keep these teams that probably should have been losing teams in winning contention. And I don't think Mike McCarthy, while he might be an offensive-minded coach, is going to have that same ability to raise the floor of a team like Mike Tomlin, especially in his first year. What else do we have? TJ Watt, do we think he's going to get better as he's become more injury prone, as he's become older? Do you think Cam Hayward's going to get better as he's become more injury prone and become older? It's not going to happen. And then who do you depend on? Your young talent that's going to come bursting out and make your team Super Bowl contenders like we did in the aughts. Who are these people? I don't see them on our roster. Do you? Name them. Who are they? Pat Freiermuth has never really come to fruition. We traded George Pickens away for a second-round pick, and we ended up overspending for DK Metcalf that Seattle got rid of. And oh, by the way, they just won a Super Bowl without him. I mean, it can't get much worse of a handling of a roster. The Steelers don't have the talent. I don't care that they brought in Michael Pittman Jr. We lost one of our good running backs, so now we just really have Jaylen Warren and whoever else that the team is going to, bring in for the running back position. We don't really have much talent on the offensive side of the football. And as far as the offensive line is concerned, we spent tremendous amounts of draft capital there, have not gotten it back. I don't think that this offensive line is going to be tremendous. It might be mediocre at best. The defensive line, Derek Harmon was a good pick. He was very good last year, and it was statistically significant when he would play. So there is reason to be optimistic, but, with an aging Cameron Hayward in a linebacking core, which, from a middle linebacking perspective, I don't think is going to be much better. Patrick Queen we overpaid for, hasn't rewarded us. You do have Nick Herbig, who is on the up, but are they going to use him? Or are they only going to play him 60% of the snaps? Alex Highsmith has been a pretty decent pick, I think. Maybe a little bit overpaid, but there's certainly been times where he has rewarded the Steelers. And on the back end, who do you have? Who do you have playing cornerback and safety? Joey Porter Jr. is a very good cover guy, but he's very poor with penalties, and he doesn't create a lot of turnovers. The defense is going to be average at best. The offense is going to be average at best. This team now with Aaron Rodgers, it raises the floor of the team. We're not going to know who we have in these Drew Allures, in these Will Howards, or in these other potential quarterbacks. And we're going to go into next year's draft with anywhere between the 15th and 23rd pick or something like that, and not have the ability to reach up and grab one of these quarterbacks that can change franchises. And I'm telling you, even if you go, well, maybe we'll be able to trade up and trade away draft picks and get our guy, there's going to be other folks looking for those quarterbacks as well. They're going to trade up. We're in quarterback purgatory here, ladies and gentlemen. And Art Rooney has told you that himself. He's told you every year he's going to try. He is never going to let this team have a losing season. He's basically telling you the Pittsburgh Steelers' main goal is to not lose. Our goal isn't to be a Super Bowl contender, isn't to be a Super Bowl champion. It's to not lose. It's to keep the money coming in the door for his family so they can go buy things, live luxurious, do the things that they want to do at the expense of fans they're just going to keep us right there, just interested enough until we figure out that this team has no ability to make noise in any playoff game, or no ability to make noise on their way to a Super Bowl. And what gets me most, what really upsets me most about all of this is that you look at the New England Patriots, they've outdone the Pittsburgh Steelers in every way possible, even giving Steelers credit for 2 Super Bowl wins in the aughts and an appearance in 2010. They've won several more Super Bowls. They're the model franchise, model ownership. And do you know what they did? They took their medicine after Tom Brady left. They got rid of their coach. They got rid of all the talent. They hoarded draft picks. And guess what they did? They completely rebuilt their team and was just in the Super Bowl last year. Now, while they may have had an easy schedule, they're probably not going to be as good this year. But this is a team with a bright future ahead, and a team that should certainly expect to be in the race for a Super Bowl in the years to come. And what have the Steelers done? They have refused to do the same thing. That's why we continue to be in the mushy middle. The Patriots could still be paying Tom Brady $25 million, $30 million a year, at 47 or 48 or whatever, to keep them, at 9-8 or 10-7, but they didn't. They decided that they were going to rebuild their team. And now look at them. It's a very tough pill to swallow as a passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fan. This signing is not a good thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not a good thing for our fan base. It's not a good thing for Aaron Rodgers. He's likely to get hurt out there behind a shaky offensive line. What's this season going to expose? Who knows? Maybe he plays 5-6 games. The Steelers go 2-4, or they go 1-4, 1-5, something like that. And then we get to test out and see who we have in some of these other quarterbacks. But for all intents and purposes, Aaron Rodgers has no business being on the team. Mason Rudolph, at this point, the only business he has being on this team is to field a capable quarterback, even though he's a backup at best in this league. We have a lot of work to do on this roster. I think a lot of us were excited that perhaps TJ Watt could be traded for draft capital which could be used to maybe get an Arch Manning or something like that. But that's not what we've seen. We've seen this team, they're sticking to their guns. They're sticking to TJ Watt, Aaron Rodgers, Cameron Hayward, these aging vets that are never going to net us anything better than a 10-7. It hurts me that we're going to have to watch this all over again, just with a new coach. Not much is going to change. I hope I'm wrong, and I'll eat my words. If the Steelers go to the playoffs, make things exciting under Mike McCarthy. Happy to eat my words. Happy to come back to this video and have people go, oh, look at what an idiot you sounded like. But likely, guys, I'm not going to sound like an idiot. We're going to see the same movie play out over and over again. You do the same thing over and over again. It's the definition of insanity. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers ownership is. It's incompetent management at this point. It's incompetent ownership. Tell me, what do you think? Was this a good signing? Are bright futures ahead for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I want to hear about it in the comments. Like, subscribe. Once again, I'm Ron John. This is Steelers Therapy. Until next time.